What is up, guys? Eric here from BBM Productions, here with an interesting video. So I have been trying to recover this whole week from bronchitis. I have a tooth infection and a Crohn's flare-up, all in one, while it's ice cold in winter, where literally we're hearing there's reports of snow on the way. So, because of that, I was kind of in bed, and I've been thinking about this fight this weekend of Sean O Malley versus Merab Philly 2 for many, many reasons, actually. The main reason is that it's kind of a sucky fight that's happening, and the card is also a bit meh. That's why I'm probably not going to watch it live. That's why there's not a lot of UFC content in general, and if my health picks up a tiny bit and work dies down a tiny bit, I'll rather do a few other videos to do with martial arts in general, blah blah blah. But you guys get the point. So I've been thinking about the main point that it's a little bit sucky of a fight, and then also certain key aspects of the fight, which a few other YouTubers that I'll shout out at the end got me thinking about, because I don't really rewatch this fight. I remember one night I was like, what am I going to watch at all? While on the toilet. And I was like, let me watch this a little bit. And I got bored in the first 4 minutes, because there is not that much technically that caught my eye. Although every fight, if you get into the meat and potatoes, there's a lot to dissect. So for me, first off, let me break it down a tiny bit on what I think Merab did well and what Sean did well. Really quickly, just off the top of my head. Merab used lateral motion quite well, very well, and that was a part of his distance management. Now, one of these other YouTubers said that Merab used his distance management better than Sean O Malley did in their fight, and I agree. That's fully there. But in certain ways, he used his distance management to gain that upper hand. And that's one of them is lateral motion, feints, and then also because, like with many unorthodox fighters that's been popping up left and right, i.e. Dricus du Plessis, René de Ridder, and Hamzat, actually, he does fall into that category in my opinion. Even Ilia Topuria does, and people will be like, what do you mean? But he does a few things correctly and then differently, and that's why it works. Same thing with Merab, and the way Merab did moved his head and way he honka-tonks in front of people before doing things means that when you are used to a guy just standing in front of you, imagine I'm one of your opponents, blah blah blah.
Body triangle on him for me.
Sorry. Imagine I'm in front of you and I'm your opponent. Most guys jab, cross, or jab with the whole opening, cross. They do stuff like that, like traditional. Merab doesn't. Merab elbows out, honka-tonks like this, while he's moving like this. So when he sits like this, it's in weird ways. It's not the usual V that most guys use when doing defense or just light slipping and stuff. It's not the same. And it's not with the same hand placement, etc. So because of that, when you are attacking me in this example, because I'm doing this stuff, that means your punches, when they land, will not land cleanly or they will whiff. And funny enough, the guy that you heard in the background, anybody who notices him, he showed a still where Sean O Malley whiffs and he lands on the shoulder and it bounces off past the chin. And how the angle was where if Sean threw the shot straight and it landed like this, skimmed, he should have turned it. If he turned it, these front knuckles, in the gloves, would have touched this area perfectly on the chin. And most likely, he would have gotten a better reaction from a Merab. Now, the thing is, that is very interesting because I don't remember. There was a different fighter. I'm trying to think now. I do know Dustin Poirier is a good example. Poirier hits like this sometimes. His straight shots, he curls all the way like this, like some boxers do, so that that round part in the front area where your big knuckles is lands. He does it a lot. And then Tony Ferguson, in his very weird way, has done it as well. And it works. Because of the smaller gloves, you can get into these pockets easier. If it's the big, puffy boxing gloves, you're going to throw like that, and you're still going to just land in the crevice. You're not going to hit properly on the chin. You have that space occupied by foam. So it was the distance management and where Merab kept himself at all times, mixed with his quickness, his reaction time and quickness. So I think more so it was his reaction, his quickness, because his quickness led to O'Malley reacting, and then he reacts. That means it's a domino effect, dunk, dunk, and instantly then Merab just starts going, and because he is so quick, he beats you to the takedown, or the sprawl, or the clinch, or whatever. And then lastly, like most people have been pointing out, is the physical strength difference. Like in the Umar Nurmagomedov and Merab fight, you could see how much stronger Merab is against a different wrestler, a Dagestani wrestler. And it was like I knew this ahead of time, and I told people, don't count him out, don't think in your head that there won't be that kind of strength situation from one of them. I told people, Merab's a bit bigger, he's a bit thicker, and that's why I think he's stronger, and then he was tremendously stronger. And same thing applied with Sean O Malley. He was tall, lanky, and he's not used to wrestling. He doesn't have wrestling strength, and then he doesn't have wrestling positioning. Like keeping your body in certain positions while wrestling makes you stronger for a certain moment. Best way I can explain it is when guys wrestle that are not that strong, well, they're not used to snap downs in wrestling, traditional wrestling now. Those guys get folded really easy. But the proper wrestlers have these huge, strong necks, and you can't grab them in a clinch. It's almost impossible. I think maybe Gaethje is a good example of where people try to get him in clinches and it just doesn't work. And then there's a few more fighters like that. Even Volkanovski is also like that. Thick, wide neck, strong. And Khabib, obviously, people try this stuff, but it ain't working. So when Merab essentially snapped down O'Malley and Umar, he showed that with Umar he had to really go for it, and with O'Malley it was quite easy in comparison. He's used to guys like Aljamain in his camp wrestling him that are really strong because they come from a wrestling base. That means the neck is already built up for this. However, nope. O'Malley was not that guy. Yes, he was training his wrestling, but it takes years to get that kind of strength. I know personally because when I got sick in hospital and got out, my neck became thin. And it's thinner now because I'm even skinnier after being out of remission. And having a thick, strong neck is like a superpower in some ways when wrestling does get involved. There's one more thing that I wanted to mention. Anyway, these are a few aspects on why Merab did well. O'Malley didn't do as well in his distance management, and the shot selection, shot placement, and variety of shots. Like MMA Shea, that I was checking out right now, pointed out that Sean didn't use his kicks correctly in that first round. Well, in the first most of this fight, and that's why in the fifth round it made sense that it damaged Merab. If he can clean that up, and he can put his shots better so it doesn't whiff when Merab moves certain ways, then he has a shot because he still won 2 rounds out of the 5. However, I think Merab, even with his broken toe, if you guys don't remember, he has a broken toe. Even with his broken toe, his wonky-tonk movement, and then his strength, lateral motion in the first minute of every round, or first few minutes of every round, and his variation of pace. He had a variating pace in that fight. It wasn't just straight bulldozing. If he does that again, I do still think Merab wins. And that was pretty fun, actually. The breakdown's more fun than the fight's gonna be. But yeah, guys, that's my prediction. Hope you guys are doing well. I might do more of these soon, just because a few good fights are on the way. So yeah, cheers. Bye.